Couple more connecting. Welcome, welcome. Well, it's the top of the hour. It's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in Michigan, 10 o'clock Eastern Central Time for part of our guests today. So welcome those of you that are on today's call. My name is Lori Berman. I am Vice President of Membership and Development for the Small Business Association of Michigan. Thank you to Space Today as our sponsor and providing their staff for today's exciting NeoCon news and information. Before we kick off, I want to let each of you know this is recording on Zoom. It's also live on Facebook, and it will be recorded and be placed on the SBM website. If you'd like to watch it again or share it with anyone, you'll be able to do that on Facebook or through the SBM website. If you have questions today, please use the chat function in today's meeting. And if you're not speaking, we ask that you mute yourself. Well, without further ado, let me introduce you to a good friend, a great member of the Small Business Association of Michigan. That is Kathy Fuchs-Hobum, who has been a board chair for the Small Business Association of Michigan. We're over 30,000 members because of Kathy and the work that she's done. She comes to us today with her SPACE team. Kathy is the founder, dealer principal for SPACE. She does this program also in conjunction with Hayworth. We appreciate that. We appreciate all that you do. We appreciate you being a woman certified owned business and a small business. Kathy, welcome. Thank you for being here. So excited about what you have to offer today.
You know, thanks, Lori. I am a huge fan of the Small Business Association of Michigan. It has been critical to our success over the past few years, and appreciate your friendship, and certainly looking forward to the annual meeting on Thursday. But right now we're going to talk live from NeoCon with the SPACE team. We have interior designers, we have business development people, we have our COO Jenny Bush down there. Everybody's looking and checking out and seeing what's new and exciting in our field of contract furniture. So I am not going to talk at you. I'm going to turn it over to Grant Merschel, our host for today, and they're going to show you and tell you everything you want to know about what's new and exciting in the world of workplace interiors. So Grant, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kathy, and good morning, everyone. We're excited. As Kathy said, I'm Grant Merschel here in downtown Chicago, and I have my colleagues Torin and Lauren here with me. We're very excited. We just spent 2 days here at NeoCon, which for those that may not know, NeoCon is the premier commercial office interiors event, really the world's premier event here in downtown Chicago at the Merchandise Mart. So we spent a lot of time walking around, seeing a lot of exciting things. We have some great things that we want to share with all of you today as it relates to trends. And so I do want to kick it over to really Torin and Lauren, who are our experts in this space. We also have Kaylee that's helping us with sharing the screen and doing some tech work in the background. I know that we are going to monitor the chat. So if you do have questions or if you see something that you like and want to give it a woohoo or how that's neat or something like that, feel free to jump in the chat and do that. We'd love this to be as interactive as it possibly can. So Lauren, I know this is your third NeoCon.
It is my third time, and it's still a great experience.
Glad to hear. And Torin, I know it's my first. So is this your first as well? Okay.
Products to see within the commercial and federal environment. Beautiful.
Definitely for sure. There's tons of stuff to see in the hundreds of square feet, thousands of square feet, hundreds of thousands of square feet to go through. So I know we have a slideshow that we're going to jump into. So if you can share the screen with Lauren, I'd actually want to kick it over to you to start off with what are the top trends that you're seeing in the spaces that we went through?
Yeah. So there were a couple things. The main thing I saw was everything being mobile, flexible. Everything was on wheels. So one of my actual favorite pieces was the composed echo. And the picture on the left actually shows that you have a high adjustable cable that can be tethered or not tethered to the panel system. And, you know, move it however you need to, micro movements. So you have that flexibility with how we work throughout the day. And the actual right picture as well, having some kind of a new style tablet armchair, having wheels on those so you can move around as you need. And I'm
If
done.
I could interject real quick. Okay, so on the left, you said we have the Compose Echo, which
Yes,
is the Hayward product, and then on the right with the chair, with the tablet,
yes,
the tablet stand that's right there, also Hayward as well.
yes.
Okay, excellent. Now go ahead with the middle photograph.
Yeah. And another trend, having all sorts of different spatial dividers. And you can kind of see in both the middle and the right picture is the Hayward pergola. So creating rooms inside a room and having all different, some manufacturers had like tall, almost book shelving, open display of shelving, and having those to divide up spaces as well.
I know we spent a lot of time in pergola, which is really exciting because it's a brand new product that's being debuted this year. So what's one of the things that relates to how you create that in the space? I know a lot of times when you see the spaces inside the spaces, people worry about building code compliance and having to pull permits and hire a contractor to do that. But how does that work with what they have here?
So the structure is 8 feet tall, and you can have it with the ceiling slats or without. But they thought about, the building codes and sprinkler systems, and the slats are far enough apart, and you can do certain things with the walls of the systems to make sure that it doesn't, void it or deal with any of those issues. So
Okay. So you really can install this without triggering kind of all of those things that go along with doing full construction. So excellent. All right. Torrin, I think maybe if we can jump over to you now.
Absolutely.
What did you see?
So basically, if we can head to the next slide, there's been a lot of product that showed sound absorption. So that was very popular, as well as having individual booths. And we've seen that before in the past, but this was more cushy, more comfortable. When I was sitting in the spaces, it wasn't as firm as what I've seen in the past, as well as seeing small individual tables so you can get your work done and whiteboards included into the space. Something that's very special was the modular seating in type of, cool and calming colors to energize the space. When people are returning to the workspace, I think it's very important for it to be inviting, as well as including some biophilia, as you can see in the bottom left photo. And we saw a lot of positive and enthusiastic wall decals, as you can see there as well. I think it's important after and during this pandemic for people to come back into the workspace and feel energized and positive and want to be there.
Definitely. And you're right. I mean, looking at those photographs, it does look warm, inviting, comfortable. JSI actually in that space, we did a really cool short reel on Instagram. So if anyone wants to check out Spaces Instagram or our Facebook page, we filmed a really fun one there. And actually JSI did share it on their own pages, which is pretty cool. So yes, I know. Yeah.
Another note is that these are easily mobile, so that you can build your own, environment, which is important as well. Yes.
Very good. I know we've got a couple of comments in the chat. So Kaylee, is there any questions that have come in?
Yes, it's been like just getting some good feedback from everyone for this session for the last couple of weeks.
Excellent. All right, thanks everyone. Some good feedback. So, all right. So I know we touched on kind of top trends and the pieces that are within here. Are there any particular pieces, maybe on this photograph, Torrin, that you really liked as maybe your top piece?
My top piece would have to be, if you don't mind going to the next slide. This is by Archadia. I thought it was so innovative. It's creative. It's beautiful. I found that it was inspired by Greco-Roman architecture with the arches. As you can see on the left-hand side, you have the felt paneling, and it creates sound absorption as well. We've seen a lot of that within the space, sound absorption, privacy spaces, and just a beautiful kind of labyrinth where people can have privacy. So this was actually my favorite. And then if you look at the right-hand side, you'll see kind of these little models. They showed an aerial view of what it can look like on broader scale within a space. So we were very impressed to see that.
I do want to touch on like flexibility with this product. I mean, the right picture showed a display of all the different sorts of pieces, and you can play with it and put it together however you want. So you don't have to stay, you know, the arches don't have to stay like this. You can add a hallway. It's just really interactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned the sound absorption. Even when you walked where that chair is in the middle photograph, when you walked into that area from just the area around, which is filled with a lot of people, you could immediately hear the difference of the dampening of sound.
Absolutely.
Exactly what they wanted to achieve.
And this also echoes the product of JSI, where it's a lot of privacy. It seems like they're pushing that forth in terms of having kind of these siloed workspaces as well as communal. So it's interesting to see that. We keep seeing a push of collaborative workspaces. But if you are going to be in something more private, it's beautiful and inviting for someone else to come and do work with you.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure. So I guess kind of related to that, kind of creating that space that's going to work for businesses or for government or the like. Maybe from a small business perspective, Melanie, if I can ask you, what do you see maybe this being a good fit for a particular client, or how would this meet a client's needs?
This particular product, or just
either this product or maybe what you've seen here at NeoCon?
I mean, something to incorporate into your businesses is having, you know, multi-use spaces. I mean, you can have private offices, but being able to use it, you know, if you're not in the office, you know, we have flexible work schedules has been pretty popular. So if they're not there, being able to use it in meeting rooms, just conference rooms, being able to use all those in all different ways.
Yeah. Really creating that variety that maybe was not quite there pre-pandemic, or is now really kind of taken off with a lot of the things that have shifted so much in the last couple of years. That makes sense. How about from your perspective, Torrin? Is there anything that you're seeing that really stuck out from, if you're putting yourself in the client's shoes? What is something that you think would be very exciting for them, or see that they have a lot of value that's been created by that particular product?
I'm seeing a lot of color throughout the showrooms or exhibits. We've been seeing so much color, and we'll show you that in a bit, and texture as well. Lots of felt being used. They've just been so diverse in what they're using right now, and it's textural as well. So that was exciting to see.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Okay. So just a reminder, we are monitoring the chat. So if there is any questions that have come up at all, Kaylee, I don't know if we've had any that have popped in, but feel free to drop us a question if you'd like. We'd love to hear some feedback or particular questions from your perspective of those that have joined us.
Yeah, we actually commented about how all this looks great for more of a hybrid or flex type of staffing environment. So it's nice kind of having multiple staffing stations set up.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right. Torrin, you mentioned color.
Yes.
Tell me about this photo.
So we've been seeing, again, lots of color, lots of texture, lots of pattern, something to energize the workforce and make it contract grade as well. I don't believe we've seen so much variety in the past, and it was very impressive to see an array of color.
I just love their setup.
And what showroom was this?
Archadia. So they're a fabric manufacturer.
Excellent. All right, let's see our chats coming up. Feel like we can go back to you again.
So first question was from Kimberly. She said, I may have missed it, but what was the name of the Archadia Archadia?
Do you remember the name?
I don't remember the name. I can look into that and get back to you on that. Are you guys familiar by chance with the name?
It was a brand new thing, so I don't remember it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share it with you after I look into it for sure.
And then Gloria was wondering, do you think in terms of colors and textures, the new wave of design over what was more modern and with all the way to smooth material?
I think so. I think so. The return to the workforce, you'll see later when I speak about Biophilia. And it's just about bringing people back into the space, again, having these neon wall decals as well to energize the space, bringing people in. And with color, you do the same thing. So yes, absolutely.
So I know we had kind of a unique experience in the national space that we toured through yesterday. It was actually quite a cool thing where you're able to download an app and answer a couple of questions that gave you your really kind of the color that would describe kind of your mood in that moment. And then once we did that, we were actually able to go into a room with white walls and what you see here, and really have a very cool experience that was very intentional and well thought out through a substantial amount of research that Nationals team had done in partner with some academic researchers. So Torrin, I know you're pretty excited about this. So
yeah, I was. On the previous slide, I touched upon color, of course, and this is the continuation of that in terms of merging in plant life. I've never seen anything like this before. It's a color bath that you're incorporating into your workforce. I think they were just showing overall where it's kind of color therapy and it works with the mind as well. So when you're back in the workforce, you can kind of have a Zen space to just relax and take a break throughout the day, which I think is very special. I've never seen anything like that before.
This was a really good experience. I mean, I personally haven't done anything like it. You know, we had a really long day yesterday, walking around all day, we were tired. You know, we stumbled upon the
Yes.
color bathroom and whoa, we feel so much better. You know, the small burst of energy afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the person that told us a lot about it when we first walked in, just she was excited. It was great kind of feeling. And you know, I kind of thought about that 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock lull in the afternoon of a work day where you kind of see people going back to the coffee pot. And sometimes you're thinking maybe one more tea or one more coffee is not really for me, but certainly at least from what the research they've shown, the color bath and the color immersion is actually intended to really provide as a stimulating type of environment.
Absolutely.
But also energize you at the same time. So I do think this is a very, very future oriented trend that we're going to see a lot more of.
We weren't in there for that long. I mean, I don't know, maybe a minute or two. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't that long.
Also, like, vitalize out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, definitely. So, all right. Well, how about in our chat? Do we have anything new that's come through?
No, nothing new.
All right. Excellent. So I know from a talent perspective, one, I think from color, certainly color would be something that would be unique, exciting, attracting to talent, but also something different that could be given to people's workforce currently.
Yeah.
I know this next slide that we have up now, which relates to plants, really is along that same kind of lines, but it's also really a future focused trend as well. So tell us a little bit more about what we're seeing here.
We've seen a lot of biophilia in the past. You know, saturates and oversaturates the market, but they do it in a different way this time. It's not just on the walls, but you see it hanging from the ceilings. They're putting it in planters and elevating it. So it's kind of this floating environment that to me, it adds a whimsy to it, you know, kind of a magical space, which I think is really important. What I also noticed is that it mixes faux plant life with real, which is mimics hospitality design to always have something in rotation while you swap out the real plant life. So it's very much well thought out, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful, as well as the light fixtures were coming down and the plant life was cascading down, including the light fixture. Very creative, and I was very much impressed. What are your thoughts?
I think that's actually an important thing to mention. I mean, you talked about fake plants. They don't have to be real. I mean, they come out with some really real looking, you know,
Yes.
faux plants. So you can still get this look and not have that, you know, maintenance. So and make sure you keep the plants watered.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to keep these plants alive. So personally, I love the faux plants, but yes.
True. Well, and I think also too, a lot of the species of plants are a lot more hands-off that have been introduced into the market on a scale. So I think sometimes the plants of 20 years ago, it's a little different now, I think, with some of the species that have been brought to market out there. I think the other thing too is that when you really look at this, you really do see sort of that natural type of feeling, but also really espouses a sense of health, which I think in the last 2 years is something very important. If you can create a healthy environment within your workplace, if you can add some live plants in that can help circulate oxygen and the like, that's always going to be advantageous and really create an environment from a multitude of different angles that's good and adds value.
To jump off of what you said, I love that you mentioned a natural space because a lot of the forms you've been seeing, very organic, shapely, rounded edges, to mimic, to me at least, kind of like a stone, things like that, as well as the texture of it. So to me, that was very comfortable as well and inviting.
Absolutely. I know as we've gone through a lot of these photos, there may be some on the call that are thinking, well, my space doesn't look like that. It doesn't have those kind of ceilings. It doesn't have those kind of walls. You know, how do I create something like this within the confines of maybe the building that the business owns or the space that you've already kind of leased? And so can you talk a little bit from the client's perspective? How do you introduce some of these things into a space, maybe incrementally or in a whole scale overhaul?
Well, kind of what I was mentioning earlier, a lot of those space dividers, I mean, the open shelving that have the planters in there, you don't need, you know, the grand ceiling so you can hang plants in the ceiling. You don't need all that stuff. You can put in a simple shelving divider, put some plants in there, and still get this look.
Absolutely. All right. Saw the chat pop up a couple times. So Kayla, we'll go back to you.
Yes, Gloria had a comment. She just said she knows at her home she likes to keep lots of plants in her office area, giving her sort of a growing space. They grow as she grows.
I love that.
Excellent.
And then curious if any of these plants are
Yes.
Yes, there are several that are available that we can get today.
Excellent.
I actually think the lead time was 2 to 4 weeks for this specific brand. So I can look into it and let you know. It's fast lead time.
Good to hear. All right. Any other comments in the chat? We covered them. Excellent. All right. Sounds good. So I know, do we have one more to share with everyone, or have we covered it? No, we did cover it with the plan. So I guess, I know we've covered a lot of things. I know we've got the slideshow. We can go back to some slides if there's some additional comments you want to make. So Lauren, I guess I'll go to you on any.
I guess one thing I do want to say, we didn't talk about it yet, but one sustainability push. A lot of people are, you know, changing how their products are made. A lot of fabrics, you know, being conscious of where those materials are coming from. You know, taking recycled bottles and creating new things out of them. So that is something that you can see.
It's a great point.
Yeah. I know we spent a lot of time in those space,
Yes.
which, as an example, has been taking their very classic aluminum chair and creating one from recycled plastic, initially with a partnership with Coca-Cola, but now it's evolved into more plastic sourcing. So in order to recycle them. But yeah, that's a very good point. Anything on that line, Torrin, from a sustainability perspective?
Not necessarily. I think one of their chairs, the Navy chair, does have some historical context actually, where it had to be used to kind of not just for comfort, but to wear well with the salt air and erosion. So there is a historical context there that I think is important for people to know as well.
Excellent. All right. Kaylee, one last time, I'll kick it over to you, see if we have anything else in the chat.
No, we're good.
Nothing else. Okay. All right. Well, I know we've covered a lot of content here from our perspective. We've had a lot of fun here in Chicago with NeoCon. As Kathy introduced us, I'm Grant Marshall. I have Lauren Grisha and Torrin Curtis with me. We're with Space. We're headquartered out of Midland, Michigan. And just a short drive away, I guess, from Chicago, but focus on commercial office interiors and creating really that space for the future of work. I think one thing we've done in the last couple of days is really just get another dose of exciting trends, but also what's available out in the market to be able to create those spaces for the clients that we work with. And coming here, I know it's been suppressed a little bit with the pandemic, but it really does have a really exciting energy about it. And I think that energy is something that we'll use to be able to provide really value to our clients, to allow them to really see what they want and create the spaces that they're wanting to achieve, but also do better for the businesses that they represent. So before we kick it back to SBAM in Michigan, do we have any final comments, Lauren and Torrin? other than maybe we should do this again.
Probably.
Yes.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lots to see.
Definitely. Perfect.
We didn't even see everything. So we might go back
Yes.
afterwards. So,
Well,
Excellent.
I do have a question for you all before we go. I loved some of the things that you showed. How soon could one expect the items that you showed in the showroom? I loved the for a better word, the old word cubes. That was the Greek and Roman architecture, the personal workspace that was open but closed. How soon do you expect those to be in production? Are these things that we could purchase now or order for our
Yeah.
office space?
Yeah, those are actually orderable now. So whenever you want to incorporate those, we can do that.
I loved the rolling chairs too at the very beginning, the soft yellow ones with the desktop. Totally changes the dynamic of just a seating space, working area. So love those too. All those things are available. That's great.
And do you mind if I pop in a second? First of all, the three of you, we are going to do this again because you guys are a great team together. I love the energy. I can feel it from here. Hybrid work. I know a lot of with small business owners, we're bringing people back to the office. We've got stuff. There's new stuff. I mean, how are people really addressing this hybrid office? Because I think that's one of the biggest things for small businesses that, you know, we need help with. What did you see down there?
it's interesting that you said that because from my perspective, I didn't see too many communal spaces or, places to have your huddle rooms, huddle boards, things like that, which really did surprise me. However, with the outdoor spaces, I did see a lot of that, which is interesting because you can marry this outdoor and indoor kind of life, which to me started in California, right? And merging those spaces. And I think it's coming to the East Coast more so. So that whole huddle environment and having that hybrid workspace, to me, is on the verge of being merged with outdoor. So we're seeing a lot of outdoor large tables and chairs.
I don't know.
Okay. That big trend, Lauren? Outdoor space, big trend?
Yes. There was a lot of bringing the outdoors in and just kind of, blending all that. I did want to touch on, I don't know if it's the direction you're asking about, but the coming to work and flex space. And there were a couple manufacturers. I know Hayward partners with the software system Free Space, I think it's called. So, and that's a software that helps you, if you don't have everybody coming back to work at the same time, they can reserve what workstation they need to use that day. If they need a private office one day, they can reserve that. If they just need an open, desk situation, that's something you can reserve too.
A lot of hoteling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Better use of the floor plan or different uses of the floor plan. Okay. What about amenity spaces? I mean, what's happening out? What did you see out there from a collaboration or from an amenity space, cafes or different types of areas that maybe people would be interested in?
Didn't see a ton of cafes. There were a lot of different just lounge seating options and how you use those if you wanted to use a lounge setup as kind of like a collaborative space. It's a huddle space that's kind of tiered. So you have some people sitting in the back that's kind of bar height, and you have lounge seating that you can sit on the couch, and then having technology incorporated, on the wall and use it that way, or it's just a casual place to sit.
Something that I love seeing as well were the high top tables. It was all over the place and just having, again, that staggering height, which I think is great for energy and communication. So I love seeing that.
Okay, perfect. Now, again, as a small business owner, I'm on Zoom a lot. I do a lot of these types of meetings, and I need to help my team do these types of meetings. What did you see in the area of Zoom helpers or technology or something like that? What did you see around there?
I would say that just about every space that we were in really was very intentional around how the monitors are being placed, how you're able to add on additional cords and cord management. That was something that's very, very thought out, especially in Hayward products and others, because As you know, when you're adding on that webcam or you're adding on that additional monitor, you're going from maybe 1 to 2. You have all of these cords that you need to make sure are in a way that's managed well, that's not clunky, doesn't interfere with maybe your height adjustable desk. So I think that was all very intentional in the designs.
I saw quite a bit of that at AIS. I saw a lot of that at the tail end when we came in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, didn't AIS, I think they won a Best in Show, NeoCon Best in Show for some of their wire management. So that, I think that was probably a key trend, and kudos to AIS. I also saw, while I was looking up here, rugs. What is with this rug trend? What do we got going there?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking about that last night. Yes, there are rugs in every showroom and just helping to divide that space in an open floor plate.
And rugs on top of carpet squares, rugs on top of different flooring below. So I think sometimes we think traditionally you need to have kind of a smooth or a hardwood or some type of floor that you put a rug on top of. It's very doable to do a rug over top of carpet to really help enhance that space, creating just different spaces within spaces.
And again, goes back to absorption as well.
Are you seeing these, you're creating zones? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, Torin. Are they creating these zones or collaboration areas, or what are they creating with those rugs?
Casual seating areas. So yeah, zones of, casual seating.
Okay. All right, cool. Sorry, I'm really excited about this. So having you down there being able to answer, I didn't get a chance to go. So I'm excited to hear it. Now, always there's color trends at NeoCon. What is the #1 color trend? What was the color you saw all the way through? Did you see a consistent color?
I personally saw a lot of like pale mint, that type of color, and I think it's a very therapeutic and calming color, and that was kind of throughout the showcases. Yeah.
Okay. What was the most unusual thing you saw?
We were in OFS and we're telling everybody about this. There's this little, love seat with the high back enclosure to create, a secret space for you, and incorporated some sound features. So you could push a button and you'd hear a thunderstorm or you'd hear birds chirping. So it was your little zen space within the office.
Ooh, that's exciting. So you saw those in a variety of places?
There was only one. Yeah.
Okay. What about the buzzy space? Acoustics a big deal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that throughout the entire exhibit, sound absorption, acoustics was a main thing. Where was it? I think in AIS they had some kind of panels that were floating in the ceiling. Yes, and it was wrapped in felt, and it looked that of kind of scaffolding a little bit, and it was very creative, very beautiful, and again something that would be for sound absorption and managing that in a space.
Okay.
Absolutely. And
So go ahead, Grant. No, you're down there.
To add on to that, because I think one thing is important just from a throughout the day how there's the sound absorption and you're being cognizant of how sound is traveling within your work environment. I think though we've all probably personally wanted to take a personal call, maybe call a doctor, have a conversation, and if we have an open floor plate, creating those spaces that are private for people to be able to go into, I think is very important. So that was very much a thing, and there's lots of products that have started to go in that direction to be able to provide that.
Okay, so big trends in color and the soothing, making the office a very relaxing place to work. Plants, biomimicry, acoustics, everything designed to making the experience of coming to the office restful. Can I make that assumption from the trends you're seeing?
Kind of choice of how you want to work. Being able to pick, private office style, the benching, just working in a conference room, just having that flexibility throughout the day and kind of planning how you work.
Okay, good. I think that's a key takeaway, especially for small business owners. We can't do everything. We can't come in and, you know, ours is kind of a fashion business and everything changes every year, but there's 1, 2, or 3 things that we probably should take a look at. And based on what you saw, and Lauren, I'm going to direct this at you, and I'm sorry to call on you, but if I had to pick 1 or 2 little things to do to my space to help people come back to work, what would you recommend?
Oh gosh. I have to think about that one. I think just allowing, I mean, if you can't go in and change everything, having little pods of, you know, that soft seating, or incorporating one little quiet room so they have that option to go make a call and not just out, everybody can hear them. Ergonomics, that's an easy add-on, you know, having the monitor arms so they can adjust and do what's best for them. I think that's an easy thing you can do.
Okay, perfect. Again, I'm going to send you guys, I don't know where we're sending you, but we're sending you someplace else because I am loving what I'm hearing from you. Lori, I'll turn this back over. Thanks for letting me ask a bunch of questions. I appreciate it. And I'll see you Thursday, but back to you.
All very interesting. Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you, Jenny, Grant, Lauren, and Torin. We appreciate it. Very exciting stuff. And we look forward to having you back. So for everyone that's watching today, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Space, for supporting this great content today. And it will be recorded and found on the SBAM site later this week. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.